Valeria Marquez, a beauty influencer in Mexico, shot dead. She was just 23 years old.
For millions, the camera isn't just a lens. It's a mirror, a diary, and sometimes a silent witness. Influencer culture has turned everyday lives into public performances, where even the rawest, most dangerous, and most fragile moments are shared in real time. In this world, going viral often outlives the person behind the screen. These aren't just tragedies. They're digital echoes of lives cut short. So, who are these influencers who unknowingly captured their final moments? Let's hop on and delve into the final moments these influencers didn't see coming. Number 10, Zaria Khadija Carr, the argument that turned deadly. In June 2025, a storm of videos hit TikTok featuring a Georgia couple locked in a heated argument. No one knew who first uploaded the clips, but within hours, they were everywhere.
Officers found the woman, Zaria Carr, unconscious at a home in Emmanuel County after being called there for a domestic disturbance.
The audio was messy. Zaria's thick Georgia accent made parts hard to catch, but the emotion, unmistakable. You didn't need perfect audio to hear the pain in her voice. At first, most people brushed it off.
You just heard me. I'm not dead. You trying to slide. You trying to get the beach. And you trying to got all the screenshots.
Another relationship drama clogging the timeline. But unlike most messy breakups that fade after a day or two, this one wouldn't end with a few deleted posts. It would end in blood. Zaria Khadija Carr, known online as Duchess Dior, was just 27, a mother of two, a former corrections officer, a hairstylist with a growing business in Statesboro. She had built a following of over 35,000 on Facebook, sharing everything from motherhood moments to relationship advice. Her husband, 36-year-old Shamarcus J. Carr, known as the Frenchman online, was also a minor influencer with 44,000 followers and a French bulldog breeding brand.
My story is, I came home from prison.
Their love story began behind prison walls. She worked as a corrections officer. He was an inmate. After his release, he moved in with her and her young son. They built a life together. Then came a baby, then a wedding, then the perfect online family image. But what the camera showed wasn't the full picture. The Facebook Live that would later haunt viewers began with Shamarcus accusing Zaria of cheating.
This lie up saying, who is that?
Somebody lied.
Hold on, this what you lied at.
He admitted to his own infidelity, too. What followed was nearly an hour of raw, ugly back and forth. There was yelling, name-calling, and the kind of pain only two people who loved each other too much can inflict. Then he said something chilling, the kind of line that, in hindsight, feels like a warning flare. That's the kind of behavior that gets somebody beat up. Moments later, the live ended.
Mark done got quiet. Where he at? He right here. He getting mad. He don't like the truth coming out.
But then, Shamarcus came back online. Different shirt, cigar in hand, more agitated. He started ranting about curses, betrayal, sexually transmitted diseases, and divorce. It was unraveling fast, live, in front of thousands. Zaria, too, was live on her page. She mentioned someone named Udi, implied her husband was being unfaithful. And worse, he responded with threats, violence. Then, suddenly, both live streams cut out. 2 hours later, police arrived at their Twin City home. Zaria was found unresponsive, shot dead. Their Dodge Challenger was gone. An alert went out. By 11 p.m., deputies found the car in Wayne County. As officers approached, Shamarcus turned the gun on himself.
The woman's husband, Shamarcus, was inside the car. Investigators say he later died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Online, people who'd watched the arguments in real time were stunned. One follower wrote, "We watched it happen without realizing it was the end." The tragedy wasn't hidden in the shadows. It unfolded right in front of everyone, yet no one could stop it. And maybe that's the darkest part of it all. The internet gave them an audience, but it couldn't give them a way out. But not all tragedies stem from arguments. Number 9. Jennifer Martin's Swept Away. It started like any other night. Music playing, laughter echoing, a quick Instagram story that read, "I'm going to be young again." That was Jennifer Martins, glowing, playful, and unaware that within hours, those words would take on a chilling new weight. Jennifer, a 28-year-old Brazilian beauty influencer, had built an online world of sunshine and style. With over 80,000 Instagram followers, she was loved for her fashion looks, cozy home moments, and the candid glimpses of her life with Lima, her husband of 8 years and partner for 14. To her followers, she was a living reel of joy. But joy can be fragile. On the night of November 24th, 2024, a storm rolled through Uberlandia, and the skies cracked open. Streets turned into rivers almost instantly. Jennifer and Lima were driving when their car was struck by another vehicle on a submerged road. The water rose fast, too fast. Trapped, they had no choice but to get out and fight the current. Security footage would later capture the scene. The couple clutching their car, water swirling around their waists. Onlookers tried to help, stretching out a ladder toward them. But the water was vicious, and the ladder wasn't long enough. Lima held on. Jennifer couldn't. At around 1 a.m., she was swept nearly 300 meters away. Firefighters and Lima found her unconscious. They tried everything: CPR, desperate calls, silent prayers. But it was too late. She had drowned, suffering multiple traumas in the flood. By morning, Brazil was mourning a woman they felt they knew. Her final moments, heartbreakingly caught on camera, went viral. Not as content she created, but as a tragedy she never imagined. Lima, shattered, shared on Instagram, "I just wanted her back." It was raw, honest. The post was flooded with messages from strangers who'd followed their love story for years. That same day, her funeral took place at Balm Pastor Cemetery. The influencer who once brightened timelines was now the first confirmed victim of the deadly storm. Jennifer's death sparked national conversations, not just about extreme weather, but about how quickly the digital fairy tales we consume can be shattered by real-world disasters. One moment, she was dancing to music. Next, nature swallowed her whole. And if Jennifer's story was nature's fury, what comes next is something darker. Human evil in its purest form. Number 8. Gabriel Jesus Sarmiento, killed while live streaming. There are moments the internet should never witness. But on the night of June 22nd, 2025, tens of thousands of TikTok viewers watched in real time as Gabriel Jesus Sarmiento, a 25-year-old Venezuelan influencer, was gunned down during a live stream. A horrifying climax to months of public threats, fearless accusations, and dangerous truths. Gabriel wasn't your typical social media creator. He didn't post dance challenges or travel vlogs. Under the username unknowingly, he built a following of over 77,000 people by calling out what many were too scared to whisper: the growing power of Tren de Aragua, Venezuela's most notorious criminal gang, and its alleged ties to corrupt police. A trained programmer and cybersecurity analyst, Gabriel used his digital skills as a weapon. He named names, tagged officials like the Minister of the Interior, and accused powerful figures of turning a blind eye. And he didn't sugarcoat it. His lives were fiery, fast-paced, and fearless. He talked about kidnappings, extortion, and how he himself had been harassed, even kidnapped once by a special police unit. Every time he went live, people knew two things: he was going to speak the truth, and he was taking a risk. And then came the night everything unraveled. At around 9:30 p.m., Gabriel started streaming from his home in El Ponal, Maracay. His tone was as sharp as ever, criticizing gang leaders like Héctor Guerrero Flores, who's also known as Niño Guerrero, and calling out the government. But minutes in, something felt off. In the background, viewers heard a woman, later confirmed to be Gabriel's mother, screaming. Gabriel's voice suddenly shifted from bold to terrified. "They're here!" he shouted, frantically giving out his address on the live show. "Sabine, come! Come now!" Then came the loud bangs. Gunshots and the sound of walls cracking. The men weren't coming through the door. They'd blasted a hole in the wall to get in. Two armed figures appeared on camera, faces fully visible as chaos filled the room. Then the live stream cut to black. When police arrived, Gabriel had been shot at least 9 times. He died instantly. His mother was hit in the abdomen, but, after emergency surgery, survived. By the next morning, the clip had already gone viral, spreading across Venezuela and beyond. It wasn't just a crime, it was a public execution broadcast to the world. Attorney General Tariq William Saab announced that the 69th Prosecutor's Office, specialized in organized crime, had taken over the case. Within days, an alleged accomplice was arrested, Pierina Uribari, the partner of one of the gunmen, Adrian Romero. Arrest warrants were issued for Romero and 2 others, Wilbert Gonzalez and Gerald Nieto. The government continued to insist that Tren de Aragua had been dismantled, but the live stream told a different story. Gabriel's murder wasn't random. It was a warning. His death sparked global outrage and painful questions. Was Gabriel brave or doomed the moment he decided to go public? In Venezuela, where speaking against power can make you a target, he chose to stand in the open, and everyone saw how that ended. But what's haunting is this. His live stream, once a platform for truth, is now a digital ghost, still circulating online. It's raw, real, and terrifying. While Gabriel faced danger head-on, Matthew and Stacy met theirs on a quiet mountain road. Number 7. Matthew Yeomans and Stacy Turu, the off-road tragedy. They called themselves Toyota World Runners, 2 Canadians in love with each other, the open road, and the raw thrill of adventure. For years, Matthew Yeomans and Stacy Turu shared their off-road escapades with a global audience who tuned in for every mountain climb, river crossing, and muddy detour.
No idea what I was going out for. Like, my heart is racing because I've never heard a shriek like this in my life.
But on August 7th, 2025, in the wild mountains of British Columbia, their story took a devastating turn. Matthew and Stacy weren't just another couple with a YouTube channel. They'd built an entire lifestyle out of chasing the horizon. Since 2020, their subscriber count had skyrocketed past 200,000 on YouTube, and tens of thousands more followed their adventures on Instagram. Their followers watched as they transformed old Land Cruisers into rugged expedition vehicles, camped under stars from Patagonia to Alaska, and turned what was once a dream into a full-time life on the move. Their final post, just a week before the crash, showed them laughing on Vancouver Island, talking about how good it felt to experience summer again. It felt ordinary, warm, safe, but adventure has a way of reminding even the best explorers how thin the line can be between thrill and danger. That Thursday, the couple joined a small convoy along a remote forestry road near Trout Lake in the Purcell Mountains. It was steep, rocky terrain, exactly the kind of place they loved. But somewhere along that treacherous stretch, their heavily modified Land Cruiser lost control. In a horrifying instant, it rolled down a 656-foot boulder slope, a rare open section with no trees to slow its fall. The other drivers with them immediately called for help. Rescuers arrived by helicopter, and ground teams rappelled down the rocky incline. Matthew had been ejected from the vehicle, and there were no signs of life. Stacy, still strapped inside, was found barely conscious with a traumatic head injury. She was airlifted out, but she passed away later that night. The news hit their community like a landslide. Fans who'd followed them for years poured their grief across social media. Stacy's mother, Colleen, broke the news in a heartfelt Facebook post. With unimaginable heartache, we lost them both in the beautiful mountains of British Columbia that they loved so much. They are together forever, as we knew they would be. Matthew had proposed to Stacy at the foot of Mount Fitzroy, one of Patagonia's most iconic peaks. Their love story wasn't just romantic, it was rugged, real, built on miles of dusty trails and shared dreams. Their passing sparked serious conversations in the off-road community about safety on dangerous terrain. Not just the thrill of exploration, but the brutal risks that come with it.
So that we could do that, we needed something we could travel comfortably for long distances as a family.
And yet, their channel remains online, still full of laughter, tire tracks, sunsets, and campfire nights. A digital trail of two people who chased adventure fearlessly. While Stacy and Matthew loved adventure, Irina just wanted the perfect selfie. Number 6. Irina Glazunova, the selfie fall. It started like so many late-night moments in a city square. Music, laughter, a phone camera recording it all. But for 24-year-old Russian influencer Irina Glazunova, a single distracted step turned a carefree night into a fatal tragedy. On September 27, 2024, Irina, visiting friends in Tbilisi, Georgia, was in high spirits. A graduate of the Russian Academy of National Economy and Public Administration, she had built a small but loyal following online, known for her lively travel content and spontaneous charm. That night, she and a friend wandered through First Republic Square around 2:30 a.m., singing along to "For the Last Time" by Hunger Boys. And of course, like so many influencers, she had her phone out, documenting it all. Caught up in the joy of the moment, Irina skipped backward toward her friend's camera, laughing. What she didn't see was the low wall behind her, just 30 centimeters tall, barely more than a curb. In the blink of an eye, she stumbled over the edge and plunged 5 meters down into an underground subway passage. The video, later reviewed by authorities, shows her smile, a sudden scream, and then nothing but the sound of her friend's panicked voice. Emergency services rushed her to a nearby hospital, but the injuries were catastrophic: severe head trauma and a broken neck. She was pronounced dead that morning. As word spread online, the clip of those last moments went viral. People weren't just mourning, they were angry. Locals pointed out that the underpass had no proper safety barrier, only that knee-high wall. Some said it was a tragedy waiting to happen. A spontaneous memorial bloomed at the site. Flowers, candles, handwritten notes from strangers and followers alike. City officials were forced to respond. They admitted the structure was built decades ago under Soviet-era building codes, which hadn't been updated to modern safety expectations. Within weeks, a taller protective fence was installed to prevent more accidents. But the debate didn't stop there. On social media, conversations exploded, not just about infrastructure, but about our obsession with capturing perfect moments. How many people, after all, have taken dangerous selfies on rooftops, bridges, or moving vehicles? Irina's death became a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly just one more clip can turn into something irreversible. Her body was returned to Moscow, where her funeral took place at Vagankovsky Cemetery. Friends and followers flooded her pages with tributes, freezing the last carefree seconds of her life in digital amber. One step, one moment, one step, and everything changed for Irina. For Amanda, though, it took more than just a step on a quiet edge. No one noticed. Number 5. Amanda dos Santos Barbosa, lost to a moving car. The music was loud, the night was warm, and 24-year-old Amanda dos Santos Barbosa was laughing into her phone camera, hair whipping in the wind as the car sped down the road. In that single dazzling moment, she was the life of the party, bright, fearless, and completely unaware it would be her last. Amanda was a familiar face online, known for her bubbly personality and infectious energy. Born and raised in João Pessoa, Brazil, she made her living doing eyelash extensions, but had built a loyal following thanks to her fun, sometimes wild posts. She wasn't one to live quietly. If there was a party, an adventure, or something worth filming, Amanda was in it, phone camera ready. On November 18, 2024, she and 3 friends were heading home from a party in the Bancarios neighborhood. They'd been drinking heavily. Her friend, Taisa Figueiredo, owned the car, but admitted she was too drunk to drive, so she handed the keys to a male friend who claimed to be sober. The atmosphere inside the car was electric, music blasting, everyone laughing, and Amanda doing what she loved most, performing for the camera. Around 12:16 a.m., Amanda climbed up through the sunroof in her heels, waving her phone, recording a selfie video. Two friends leaned out beside her, egging her on. It wasn't unusual for her to push the limits for a fun clip. That was kind of her thing. But this time, the thrill crossed a deadly line. CCTV footage later showed her perched on the edge of the window, smiling into the wind. Then suddenly, she was slipping. She tumbled out of the moving car, slamming her head on the pavement. A white vehicle managed to swerve and stop, but a black car waiting at a nearby intersection accelerated at the worst possible moment, running over Amanda, where she lay motionless on the road. Emergency responders rushed her to the trauma hospital in João Pessoa, but her injuries were catastrophic. She was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. A forensic report confirmed hemorrhagic shock from chest trauma as the cause of death, though it remains unclear whether the fatal blow came from the fall or the impact of the car. Even more chilling, the music in her friend's car was so loud they didn't even notice she'd fallen. Bystanders screamed, but by the time her friends realized, it was too late. The tragedy sparked a wave of conversations online. Some mourned the loss of a young woman known for her spark and joy. Others asked harder questions about the growing trend of dangerous daredevil content, where thrill-seeking collides with tragedy. No one has been arrested yet, but authorities are considering negligent homicide charges. Amanda's death is now more than a headline. It's a cautionary tale etched into the internet's memory. What comes next is a death that has a whole nation on high alert. Number 4. Valeria Marquez, shot while live. It's one thing to hear about an influencer's death. It's another thing entirely to watch it happen in real time. On May 13, 2025, 23-year-old Valeria Marquez, a rising beauty influencer from Guadalajara, Mexico, sat in her pastel-toned salon, casually chatting with followers on TikTok. In her hand was a soft pink stuffed pig. She laughed, adjusted the camera, and answered questions. It was supposed to be just another live session.
A shocking moment on TikTok. A social media influencer was shot to death during a live stream at a beauty salon in Mexico.
Instead, it became the moment the world watched her life end. Valeria wasn't a stranger to the spotlight. She first caught attention in 2021 after winning Miss Rostro, a local beauty pageant that gave her a platform and a fan base. From there, her rise was quick and glowing. She built a following of over 200,000 people across TikTok and Instagram, posting everything from glittering makeup tutorials to outfit breakdowns and everyday salon chats.
I want to say, like, objectively just an unattractive guy, especially for a girl she's very beautiful. She had a very striking look.
She also ran Blossom the Beauty Lounge, a trendy beauty salon in Zapopan, a wealthy suburb of Guadalajara. But that afternoon, something felt off. Earlier in the day, someone had stopped by her salon to deliver an expensive gift. They wore a mask and insisted on handing it to her directly. When she heard about it later, she told her followers it gave her chills. She even joked nervously, wondering if someone was planning to kidnap her. That uneasy moment, which most people watching brushed off, turned out to be a warning. At around 6:30 p.m., a man on a motorcycle pulled up to the salon. He walked in calmly, like any customer, and asked, "Hi, are you Valeria?" She nodded. Within seconds, she muted the live stream. A sharp sound echoed through the salon. She was shot in the chest and head. Valeria slumped forward in her chair, the pink toy still on the desk. The stream kept running, silent but horrifying, until another woman rushed in to end it. By the time police and paramedics arrived, it was too late.
TikTok beauty influencer killed as she was live streaming.
23-year-old Valeria Marquez.
Authorities in Jalisco classified the case as femicide. meaning she was likely targeted because she was a woman. But whispers quickly turned into loud speculation. Some local outlets reported she had once dated a man allegedly connected to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in the country. Old messages began circulating where she'd reportedly said that if anything ever happened to her, it would be because of him. Still, prosecutors haven't officially tied the cartel to her murder. Investigators are sifting through CCTV footage, interviewing witnesses, and even looking closely at the mysterious woman who ended the live stream.
Horrified by this, but were you surprised?
I was horrified, and in one sense, I was not surprised.
Two men on a motorcycle were seen fleeing the scene, suspected hired hitmen. The killing sent shockwaves far beyond Mexico. Clips of the live stream, though quickly removed, spread like wildfire, fueling nationwide outrage. Not just over cartel violence, but over how unsafe it has become for women to simply exist, let alone live publicly. President Claudia Sheinbaum promised justice, but in a region where organized crime often operates in the shadows of power, that promise feels fragile. Zapopan might look like a polished neighborhood, but it's a place where violence hides behind manicured streets. Valeria's death wasn't quiet. It was brutal, public, inescapable. And for her followers, it turned a beauty tutorial into a living nightmare. Number 3. Anvi Kamar, a smile at the waterfall. She was laughing. That was the last thing everyone remembers about Anvi Kamar, a bright, adventurous travel influencer from Mumbai whose life was cut short at one of the very places she loved most, a waterfall. Her story isn't just tragic, it's a gut punch. One moment, she was filming another dreamy monsoon reel. The next, she was gone.
A Mumbai-based travel influencer tragically lost her life.
Anvi wasn't just any influencer chasing waterfalls for views. She had brains, grit, and a big heart. A chartered accountant by profession, she spent 5 years at Deloitte, crunching numbers, managing risks, and building the kind of resume that screams safe and successful career. But Anvi wasn't built for cubicles. She walked away from the corporate world to chase sunsets, storms, and stories. Under her Instagram handle, The Gloka Journal, she turned her love for travel into a full-time career. Luxury getaways, offbeat monsoon spots, cozy cafes, and budget-friendly itineraries. By July 2024, she had a loyal audience of nearly 300,000 people who trusted her to lead them to hidden gems. But on July 16, 2024, the monsoon didn't play nice. Anvi and 6 friends set out for Kumbhe Waterfall, a lush paradise about 80 miles from Mumbai. It's the kind of place influencers dream of. Emerald hills, thundering cascades, mist curling through the trees. Around 10 a.m., as the group posed on a narrow ridge that had become a favorite photo spot, she stepped on a slippery rock. Just one wrong step, she lost her balance and fell nearly 300 feet into the gorge below. Panic erupted. Her friends screamed, scrambled for help, and alerted local authorities.
And plummeted into a 300-foot gorge. Her friends immediately alerted the local authorities.
What followed was a massive rescue operation involving the Coast Guard, Kolad Rescue Team, the Maharashtra State Electricity Board, and the Siadri Wildlife Conservation Society. It wasn't easy. The rain was relentless, the terrain brutal. Rescuers rigged a vertical pulley system, climbing down into the valley and lifting her out after 6 grueling hours. Against all odds, Anvi was still alive when they found her. She was rushed to Mangaon Taluka Government Hospital, placed on a ventilator, and for a brief, fragile moment, she fought. But by evening, she was gone. Just a day earlier, she had posted her final video, Top 5 Monsoon Destinations You Shouldn't Miss. Her smile was wide, the sky cloudy, the world bright. No one watching that reel would have guessed it would be her last. Local authorities have renewed warnings to avoid risky waterfall zones during monsoon. Anvi's final moments weren't captured in a reel, but her smile, wide and full of life, is now etched into thousands of memories. While Anvi's death was sudden, Tanner's was expected, and he told the world himself. Number 2. Tanner Martin, The Goodbye Post. that broke the internet. It's not every day the world watches someone announce their own death, but on June 25th, 2025, Tanner Martin, a 30-year-old influencer, husband, and brand new father, did exactly that. Calm, smiling, and sitting in what looked like a simple hospice room, Tanner began his last video with, "Hey, it's me, Tanner. If you're watching this, I am dead."
Hey, it's me, Tanner. If you're watching this, I am dead.
No dramatic music, no filters, just raw, quiet honesty. And the internet held its breath. But to really understand the weight of that moment, you have to rewind the story, back before the cameras, before the farewell, before the world knew Tanner as the guy who said goodbye on Instagram. Tanner's battle began in 2020, when he was just 25. He noticed blood in his stool.
Started having some digestive issues. I was going to the bathroom a lot, and then I started to see blood in my stool.
Doctors dismissed it at first. After all, who gets colon cancer that young? But the symptoms kept coming. Fatigue, weight loss, pain. Eventually, a colonoscopy revealed the truth he'd never expected to hear in his 20s. Stage 4 colon cancer. He started sharing his journey online, not as an influencer, but as a young man trying to make sense of his new reality. Through treatments, surgeries, and the ugly days of chemo, Tanner let people in. By 2021, when he rang the hospital bell to celebrate the end of chemotherapy, his online community had grown into a digital family. They celebrated with him, cried with him, and most importantly, stayed with him. But cancer can be a cruel thief.
I can accomplish and fulfill the meaning, behind my suffering with cancer.
In November 2021, it returned. By early 2023, doctors told Tanner it was incurable. 2 to 5 years left, at best. He didn't sugarcoat it online. He was brutally honest, sometimes funny, sometimes scared, always real. And instead of waiting for death, Tanner and his wife Shay chose to live louder. They created a bucket list and checked it off one by one. Ireland, Mexico, Italy, Disney World, and even a bucket list moment meeting Mark Hamill himself. Tanner was a Star Wars nerd through and through, and he owned it. Then, in November 2024, came a spark of light. After IVF, Shay got pregnant. Their baby girl, Amy Lou, their little miracle. Tanner often said in his posts, "Even if I don't live long, I want my daughter to know I lived big." But as the months passed, his health declined. By mid-June 2025, Tanner entered hospice care. He and Shay made the choice that defined their story. They recorded a goodbye message together. In it, Tanner was peaceful, joking, almost excited. "I had a heck of a life. I believe there's something after this, and I'm excited to meet the people waiting for me, and probably make fun of all you nerds," he said with that same cheeky grin his followers loved. Less than 20 hours after receiving a family portrait showing him as an angel dad beside Shay and their newborn, Tanner was gone. The internet didn't just react, it mourned. Tributes poured in. People who had never met him shared how his honesty made them less afraid of death. A GoFundMe raised over $700,000 for Shay and baby Amy Lou. Fans started tagging #LiveLikeTanner on posts, celebrating the way he embraced joy in the middle of pain. And his funeral? It wasn't a quiet, black and white affair. It was Star Wars themed. Guests wore themed shirts, and his casket was covered in stickers from the galaxy far, far away. It was exactly how Tanner would have wanted it. Fun, weird, full of love. "It's an honor to be his dad, and it still is," his father said at the service, remembering how they spent Tanner's final week rewatching Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Lord of the Rings. Tanner Martin's final message wasn't just a farewell, it was a reminder. Death might have come for him, but he met it on his own terms, with courage, humor, and a smile. While Tanner's goodbye was planned, Haley's wasn't. One embraced the inevitable, the other never saw it coming. Number 1. Haley Okula, the nurse who couldn't be saved. March 29, 2025, was supposed to be the happiest day of Haley Okula's life. Instead, it became the day the world of her husband, her family, and nearly 1 million followers shattered. Haley wasn't just another nurse with a social media page. She was Nurse Haley, the woman who built an online village for nurses and expecting moms. A 33-year-old emergency room nurse from Southern California, she spent years working grueling shifts in the ER, then came home to film nursing tips, share stories from the front lines, and talk openly about her personal battles. Her followers didn't just like her content, they trusted her. But behind the clean scrubs, warm smile, and reassuring tone, Haley carried a quiet heartbreak. For almost 2 years, she and her husband Matthew, a Los Angeles firefighter, fought through the draining emotional war called infertility. Both carried the same genetic disease, which meant their only chance at a healthy child was through IVF with a specialized probe. It wasn't glamorous, it was expensive, painful, and uncertain. In September 2024, after endless hormone shots, anxious nights, and tears that never made it to Instagram, Haley finally shared the news. She was pregnant, and not just pregnant, glowing. Her journey became a beacon of hope for thousands of women who saw themselves in her story. Every update felt personal. The swollen ankles, the checkups, the excitement of the first heartbeat. And then came the day they'd been waiting for. Late March 2025, Orange Coast Medical Center. After 3 exhausting days of labor, Haley delivered her son through a C-section. Matthew cut the umbilical cord. She smiled, cracked a joke about how big the baby was, and for a moment, the entire room felt like a fairy tale ending. They named him Crew, but joy can be fragile. Matthew stepped out of the ward briefly, expecting to return to more laughter and soft baby cries. Instead, he walked into chaos. Alarms, nurses, a doctor with panic in his eyes. Haley's oxygen levels had crashed. Within a minute, she went into cardiac arrest. The culprit, a rare, almost unpredictable complication known as amniotic fluid embolism, AFE. It happens when amniotic fluid enters the mother's bloodstream, triggering a chain reaction that can stop the heart. No warning, no clear way to prevent it, no guaranteed way to save someone once it begins. Doctors did everything they could, but the woman who had saved countless lives in the ER couldn't be saved herself. The news of her death broke hearts far beyond California. Her online community poured in millions of comments. Disbelief, prayers, heartbreak. Nursing students shared stories of how Haley's tips got them through exams. Moms thanked her for making them feel less alone. But the story didn't end there. Matthew, standing in the rubble of his new reality, now a firefighter and single father, decided to keep her voice alive.
Especially in our relationship, she would do anything for me, her family, her close friends.
He took over her RN New Grads account, turning it into a platform to raise awareness about AFE.
The exact cause of AFE is unknown, and unfortunately is extremely difficult to prevent.
A GoFundMe campaign launched for Baby Crew quickly blew past its goal. Candlelight vigils lit up Huntington Beach as friends, nurses, and strangers gathered to honor the woman who helped so many. Matthew's words at the vigil weren't polished or rehearsed.
Haley dedicated a big portion of her life to educating others, helping others as a nurse. It's gonna be a lot different without her here.
They were raw. My hope is that we find a way to figure this out before it's a fatal complication. No family should have to go through this. Haley Okula lived to help others. And even in death, her story is saving lives. From floods to falls, from farewells to violence. Their stories didn't end when the camera stopped. Has the internet really made our lives immortal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.